Hey y'all, it's Cindy. Welcome to this week's upload. I am so thrilled and honored because this is a tag video, and so a huge thank you to AlyssaHicks for tagging me for this. It is called the Impact of Blindness tag. So you can find her channel and information in the card above as well as in the description box. You'll also find other info in that description box and details, including who I plan to tag and forward this on to. So be sure to check that out. I look forward to doing this. I hope it helps you on your sight loss journey, whether you are just starting or a family member, or you know, like us, you've had it for a good chunk of time, and it's just always helpful to hear other perspectives and different experiences with blindness, because it is a spectrum, right? And so I encourage you to actually check out everyone else's video on this tag to get a better general idea of the blind VIP life. Anyway, here we go. Question number one. I'm going to kind of fumble around here a bit, guys, so I don't have to turn my screen reader on. The first question is, what is your eye condition? So my eye condition is called Stargardt's disease. I was actually diagnosed at a fairly young age as far as this condition goes. So I started losing vision around age 5 pretty rapidly and was diagnosed, you know, second, third grade or so. It took several years back in those days. Back in the old days, back then it was a little difficult to diagnose. You know, there was no genetic testing or anything like that. So I have been legally blind, you know, all through school most of my life. Question number 2, is your eye condition progressive or stable? I think this question is an excellent question, guys, because I think there is a lot of potential misconception, and it can be a bit deceiving. If you ask a medical doctor, they will say, yes, my condition is stable. But I think here's the catch. I think it can be a little deceiving, because I was first told this in my, you know, late teens, early 20s. I don't remember at what point, but the doctors were like, oh yeah, eventually it will stabilize. And to me, this implies that it will not necessarily change or, you know, progress or deteriorate more or anything like that. It will just be my vision. And this is not the case for me personally. There's a lot of environmental factors there, you know, my diet, strain, eye fatigue, how much sun I'm exposed to, that kind of stuff. You know, there's a lot of environmental things that can decrease my vision. You know, I didn't realize that the prenatal pills I was taking during both my pregnancies was going to decrease my vision, and I would never get it back. And it did, and no one thought to tell me that because my doctors didn't know here in a small town. So yeah, I think there's a lot of factors to consider for this question, and whether you're looking at it from a medical view or from an actual year-to-year, day-to-day life perspective, I would say no, my eye disease is not stable. It is ever-changing, but medically speaking, from a doctor's perspective, I would think they would say yes. That was a bit complicated, sorry. Okay, question number 3. Let's hope this one's a short answer. Okay, number 3, does your vision fluctuate from day to day? So I've kind of touched on that already. Generally speaking, yes. You know, depending on how much I do that day, how much sun I've had, how much, you know, screen time I've had, how much I've, you know, eye fatigue, eye strain, that kind of thing, that all does impact my vision. Even sometimes how well I rest the night before can impact how well my eyes function the next day, as far as just muscle movements and, you know, response time, that kind of thing. So mine, I personally feel like it does change from day to day. Number 4, pardon me guys, gotta zoom in here. Well, this one's kind of a big one. So this one is, name 3 positive qualities or personality traits that being blind has fostered in you. I love some of my previous blind VIP YouTubers' responses to this. The creator, Joy Hugh, which thank you, Joy, for creating this tag. I love her response of resilience. I really related to her on that because, you know, having any disability can really challenge and test us in life, right? And anyone, whether you're able-bodied or not, you know, we all have our various challenges and things that get us down. But being blind VIP in a very visual culture and society that is heavily relies on vision, it fosters some big resilience. You have to know how to pick yourself back up. You have to learn how to adapt and adjust and move on. So I think a lot of us, you know, that part of our character really ends up being sharpened as we get older and older and you know, go through those difficult phases in life with a visual impairment. So resilience, I definitely want to echo their answer to that. I also would add, for me personally, I struggled a lot with the humility and vulnerability aspect because I really found it difficult to ask for help all the time, you know, especially bumming rides all the time, and just that sense of feeling like you're a burden and or always inconveniencing your friends and family. And so I struggled with that, and so I had to find that healthy balance of knowing how to ask for help and when an appropriate time is to ask for help, and to be vulnerable to do so and not let my pride or, you know, anything kind of affect that. So for me, having the humility and the vulnerability to ask for help and know that it's okay. Not everyone is okay providing that help, and that's on them. I think the last thing I would say here is just perspective. I think I try at least to keep an open perspective as much as I can regarding everyone and their unique personal experience in life, whether, again, they are disabled or not. I can't tell you how many times I have experienced, you know, the conversation that is like, oh, you don't seem very blind, or, oh, how can you be blind but still have vision? And I get that it's confusing, but here's my point. I'm getting to it, guys, I promise. I feel misjudged and misunderstood a lot because people see sight as black and white, not realizing that there is a huge spectrum to blind VIP life as well as a lot of other disabilities. It's not just cut dry kind of yes, no, black, white, you're this or you're that. There's a huge gray area, right? And I feel blessed that being in that gray area, it has allowed me to understand that a lot of other people exist in their own version of that gray area. And I may not understand it from their perspective, but I know not to jump to conclusions, not to form my own judgments, and just try to keep an open perspective and not judge them, you know, based on what I think is right, because I can't stand it when people do that to me. So here we go, and let's move on. Question number 5 is, what is one way being blind makes your life better? I struggled with this one because I don't really think of my condition this way, you know, in a positive or negative way. It just is my norm. So this is great. For lack of a better answer, guys, I would say I feel so thankful that at the end of the day, when I lay my head down on the pillow, I don't have the visual images of all the world violence and gun violence and the just terrible images that's going on, you know, just with death and grief and loss going on with the coronavirus right now. There's so much heartache going on in our world right now, and as much as I want to honor everyone's story and testimony and, you know, cry with them, I have 2 toddlers. I'm still a mom, and I still have that responsibility to function and to be a good, happy model for them and for my family. And so that would be exceedingly difficult if I had all the difficult imagery that I know is out there right now to go along with some of these terrible, tragic facts that I hear. So I'm thankful I don't have to go to sleep at night with all the visual images in my head. Let's move on to happier things, hopefully. I think that was supposed to be a happy question, but sorry, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer. So number 6 is, what is one way being blind makes your life more challenging? I think all of us are pretty much going to reference driving, right? I mean, this is a very visual culture and society that we live in. Our entire, pretty much society is based on the ability to drive and having that mode of transportation. I will add that as a mom, this tripled for me. I don't have the ability to, you know, let my kids nap it out on a nice peaceful car ride. You know, I can't take my kids out of the house to go do activities. So when it was just me, I was much better at letting that go and waiting for whatever my errands, you know, were for me personally. I could put those on hold. As a mom, it's a lot more difficult. All right, so number 7, I had to read this one a couple of times and think about it because I don't really have a good answer, but here we go. Number 7 is, what is an experience or opportunity that you have had because of your blindness? And I don't know that I have actually had a, you know, specific special life experience or opportunity solely based on my blindness. So for the lack of a better answer, I just feel like I have had the opportunity to meet a lot of awesome people. We were kind of talking about earlier how being blind, VIP, it fosters a lot of character development in us over time, and a lot of people with disabilities, period. It strengthens you. And it has just been so wonderful getting to know a lot of really cool, awesome, strong, especially women. I have to give a shout out to my fellow blind VIP moms. They are cool chicks and people I just feel so blessed and honored to know. Moving on, number 8. What is one thing you wish you could do that being blind makes it hard for you to do? Ooh, this one is a little bit of a heartbreaker for me, because one thing I wish I could do that is hard or I can't has to do with parenting, and that is to see my children's faces and physical responses to life and to all the things that they experience, especially the first time moments, you know, their first time on this vacation or seeing this or seeing that, and their aha moments. I feel like, oh, their face is lighting up over this really cool thing, but I can't see it. And so for me, it's a new thing that, you know, my kids are 2 and 4 years old. You think, oh, it's been 4 years, surely you've processed that and gotten over it by now. But no, I mean, it's an ever-changing thing. And as a parent and your kids get older, you know, you can't get a lot of those moments back. They only happen once. And so as they continue to grow, it's like it constantly reoccurs, and it constantly smacks you in the face sometimes, and it's a bitter pill to swallow for me personally. I really wish I could just see them experience life. There's also times when they bring me books and toys and things, and they're like, here, mommy, fix this, or here, mommy, read this book. And I wish with all my heart that I could, but I can't. Okay, enough with that. Moving on, number 9. What is something that you can do that surprises people who don't know you? One thing I can do that surprises people, I have 2 things here. One is knitting. I do enjoy knitting. I love knitting all kinds of different baby blankets and hats and scarves and gloves and doing different cabling patterns and all that stuff. That's fun for me. I do it all by feel. And running. I used to be a huge runner. Not so much now that I'm a mom, because like who gets that much, alone time and freedom to like go for a run whenever they want. But I used to really enjoy running, doing 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons. I never did the full one. It's funny, guys. I have totally ran into trash cans. I have totally run into people and orange cones, but I always finished my races and never hurt anybody and never hurt myself in the process. So, but yeah, I love being a VIP runner. It always surprises people. They're like, whoa, you can run? And I'm like, well, yeah. And I don't, typically use a white cane, guys. Just a little personal note, which is why I have this t-shirt. I'm actually exploring new thing. Because I am not a white cane user, a lot of people don't believe me when I say I'm visually impaired. And so I'm kind of exploring other ways of just, reminding people in my community and things like that, that, hey, yes, I am visually impaired, and you can be legally blind and not always have to rely on a white cane for mobility. There are, some other techniques and things that I use. Anyway, you can view more on that in the description box. I apologize for that huge, massive tangent. Number 10, final question. If you had one thing that you could tell the sighted community, what would it be? For this one, gosh, I love Joy's response as well as Alyssa's answer to this, in that we're just normal people. You don't have to heroicize us, and we're not objects of inspiration because we can achieve things without sight. That's just our normal life. And for sighted people, sight loss can be extremely terrifying, and so they will kind of almost they'll exaggerate, our accomplishments because we are blind. And so anyway, I totally agree with that. It kind of goes back to the social model of disability. And also, Alyssa's response of, hey, we're just normal people, right? Like, come talk to us. Don't be afraid of putting your foot in your mouth or saying the wrong thing or offending us. Like, we're made of sterner stuff, right? Just treat us normally. I would add that for the sighted community, I feel like a lot of them truly just don't understand that blindness is a spectrum. There's a lot that the sighted community just doesn't understand, that there's a huge gray area, and there's a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings there. And yes, you can be legally blind and have some vision. So it is complicated and confusing, but that's why you ask questions, right? So that's it for me, guys. I am going to tag the following people, Jesh and Mods. I'm also going to tag Kayla from the channel Kayla with a C, and Carrie from Live Accessible. Though Carrie, I know you're not uploading a whole lot these days. You've got little ones you're managing also, and I get it. But when you get back to uploading, I hope you add this tag to your channel. And yeah, guys, thank you all so much for making it to the end. I really appreciate it when you do in all my videos. So don't forget, give it a thumbs up, and if you have not yet subscribed, go ahead and snag that red subscribe button down below. Thank you so much, y'all. Take care.